Hey everybody, it's Marianne Rafiro, your host of Transitions of Hope. Following along, kind of, sort of, maybe, with my book. Hey, speaking of the book, I gotta tell ya, I forgot on the last podcast, my audio book is out. And guess what? I recorded it myself. And you're never gonna believe this, well, you might, but I listened to it like somebody else wrote it. And I'm just gonna say, I really actually like it. I think that book could be so valuable for people. So please spread the word if you think it's appropriate. People who may be struggling to find out what's going on inside of them, and maybe they're just really unhappy and angry, and they can't figure out a way to cope with this crazy in this world. Hopefully that will help. In any event, thank you so much. Hopefully we've got a good podcast for you today. And we're going to continue to talk about that self-mastery journey. Once again, what is self-mastery? Self-mastery is the never-ending journey to understand who we are, why we think the way we think, why we act the way we act, and how we create the conditions for our life. Okay? Because we are the authors and directors and producers, and we are really in charge of the path that we take in life, because everything begins with thought. So, use the exercise we've talked about if you're having trouble coping with this crazy world and all the things. You know, if you find that you're listening to the news a lot and you're just getting very upset by it, stop. Just, catch the highlights so you know what's going on and stop. Do things for yourself. Listen to music that feeds your soul. And maybe, they have music that has different vibrational frequencies. And maybe you want to get some music that will put you in a relaxed state. Maybe you'll do some meditation, some visualization of things that make you happy. Love exercises. Remember that consciousness is not in our brain or just in our heart. It's in every cell of our body. So we want our entire body to vibrate to the frequency of oneness and love, because that's how we're going to cope with things. That's how we're going to become more resilient. We're going to show ourselves and prove to ourselves that everything that we need to navigate this world is inside of us, and that we can do it. Okay, so how do you know when this journey is progressing? Well, first of all, you love and like yourself more every day. So when you look in the mirror, you really start to love what you see. You start to focus on the good things. A few more wrinkles here, a few more wrinkles there. If you're older, seasoned, I should say, seasoned, not older. If you're young, maybe there's acne, maybe you got bad hair, anything like that. But you know what? You look at yourself and you're really starting to like who you are. You're starting to understand this person. You're starting to be proud of them, and you trust them. And you're starting to understand that there's way more to our existence than what meets the eye. And it's becoming natural. It's not something that you're working so hard on because you've worked on other things to clear the clutter. Remember, I think I told you this story already. I was running one day, and I noticed that there was the shadow in front of me. And I thought, oh, the shadow where all the opportunity lurks, where all the crap exists that people and me don't want to deal with. Then I turned the corner, and the sun was shining on me. Oh, and it was just beautiful. And I noticed that shadow was behind me. And I thought, oh, how apropos for life. Bring light, bring love to a situation, and the shadow goes behind you. Okay? So you love and like yourself more every day. What else? You are beginning to have an appreciation and gratitude that is deeper and more profound than you've ever had before. And it isn't just for you. It's for people. You understand what crap is yours and what crap is not. You understand that your job description in life isn't solving everybody's problems. You have now accepted or somewhat accepted that there truly is this co-created plan that is created in conjunction with whatever you call God or your creator or your source and all the divine beings. And you know, I got a real thing for angels. And I know that they are all around. And they do a lot more than find parking spots for you, okay? So use these angels. Talk to them. Make them be a part of your life. In fact, make all the invisibles be so much a part of your life that you walk 1 foot in reality and 1 foot over with them, because they will never, ever let you down. They will never let you down. Okay, so you know what? You also, this appreciation and gratitude, it probably is also even with food. You know, maybe you're eating healthier. Maybe you're just paying attention to things you never paid attention to before. And burdens just aren't so heavy. So that's another thing that you know. Okay, what's another one? You bring light. You bring light to situations. You're an inspiration. You know, people are starting to want to be near you. It's like they gravitate towards you. Like you have this magnetism that's a little bit more powerful than you had before. You know, you don't have those hidden agendas anymore. And you know what's interesting? When people say crappy things about people, so say somebody said something crappy about you, you might be really offended by it, okay? And maybe you think about it, and it really gets under your skin, and you take what their opinions are as truth, even though they're not. But when somebody says something really good about you, you go, no. Okay, not true. So what is self-mastery? Self-mastery is such that neither praise nor blame will knock you off the mountaintop. Okay, you can accept those wonderful things people say to you. You can be grateful. It doesn't inflate your ego. It doesn't make you feel more important than other people. But also when they say negative things, you understand that everything is a reflection from the inside out. Okay? And everything that someone says is a reflection of how they think about their life. And remember how that's all squared out, right? Because we all look at life through the lens that of which we are a product. So it depends on our for me, it depends on other lifetimes, in between lifetimes, in utero, this lifetime, everything all combined that affects in our subconscious mind, that affects our conscious awareness. Sometimes we don't even know where some of this stuff is coming from. But have faith that, you bring light, you bring love, you really got it going. You're feeling better about things. Life doesn't get you down. It's like you're flying a little high so that the moment-to-moment turbulence doesn't knock you off your, rocker like it used to. That's how you know. That's how you know that your self-mastery journey is progressing. Another way is you speak the truth. Sometimes it's really hard to be honest. Sometimes it's hard to be honest with yourself. Sometimes it's hard to be honest with other people. But you know what? It's okay to say no when you don't want to do something. And I find, I don't know if it's because I've, getting older and I've lived longer and time is precious to me, or it's just really I'm speaking my truth. But I say no. I don't do things I don't want to do. And in a self-mastery journey, you know that that's okay because there's an acceptance of yourself and of others. Another thing is that you consistently see the beauty and goodness in life. You don't really have to look as hard. You see it now. There's a lot of cantankerous people out there, right? There's a lot of people that really rub you the wrong way. And so you have an awareness, but you kind of let it go because you understand the source of where it all comes from, and you know that everybody has goodness in there. And those people that don't, why would you want to expose yourself? So that's another self-mastery gift, is that you are okay limiting your exposure to that which you feel is not in your highest interest. Because remember, we gather, we collect, we make things come to us that dominate with our most, or that resonate with our most dominant thoughts. So you will notice in your self-mastery journey that your thoughts are more love-based than fear-based. You will have the ability to use those gifts that we talked about when you cooperate with the forces of nature. The law of attraction, we talked about the law of substitution, we talked about the mind-body-spirit relationship. And now you're actually getting better at all that. In fact, you can switch from fear to love more quickly than you used to. And as you progress on this journey, you can identify that feeling of fear in there, and you can change it out so that you can change the molecular structure in your body to be able to be that much more positive and happy. So you accept yourself and you accept others. You see the beauty and the goodness. You know, another thing is that I find that people on their self-mastery journey start doing things like for other people. There's like more of a predilection towards stewardship. Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's just being extra nice to somebody. Maybe when you go to the supermarket, you say, you know what, I'm going to do something to make somebody's day good, even if it's to just say a couple of kind words or hold a door open. But there's almost, like this natural gravitation towards goodness and stewardship. You know, another thing that you might notice is that you crave alone time and you crave simplicity more. You know, it's like you never wanted to be alone. You were always kind of like thinking, oh no, I don't want to be alone. I'm afraid to be alone. And now you say, you know what? I need some of this alone time. I need some time every day. And maybe it's to read something that inspires you. Maybe it's to do a meditation or a visualization. Maybe it's to listen to some music. Maybe it's to just stay silent. Maybe it's to go for a walk in nature. Maybe it's to go for a run or a bike ride. Whatever it is, it's really okay to be alone. And the more evolved you are, the more you can be with yourself and like it. So you might notice that you're craving some alone time. And you know, you also may notice that you don't argue as much and you don't spend time debating. And you don't spend time wasting time thinking like, who was right, who was wrong, you know, who should I agree with, who shouldn't I agree with, you know, what story's right. I mean, let's face it, friends, you know, social media is really big, right? And that's why I'm doing these podcasts. That's why I got my little Facebook page. It's why I, you know, have my little snippets on Instagram. Why, for the first time in my life, I got to the TikTok. You know, all of that. Because social media is big. But there are so many things on social media that are not true. You know, there's these sites that I notice I get every day on my feed in Facebook of coming soon. And it'll be some movie, like this movie number 2. And I think to myself, this is so BS. That's not even happening. And then today I read something from one of the Olympians that was a gold medal winner, recipient. And she said that she had 333 followers before her gold medal. And now she's got 7 million. And people are setting up accounts that aren't even hers. So, you know, beware of all of this. And why does this happen? Why are people not accountable? Why are people doing deceitful things? And how do we reconcile that? And you just have to say to yourself, look, this is going to happen with or without me. I can only control and effectuate change in my world right here. So I'm going to do my best to be an inspiration, to seek the truth. I'm going to be curious. I am going to explore things. I am going to explore different people's belief systems. I'm going to explore how the whole thing was set up. I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow. So beware. There's just a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of lies. There's just so much that's untrue. And then even the things that are true, how many times young people look at other people's posts and they think, oh, I want that life. Why do I have my own? Why do I have these struggles? But you know what? That's not life. Everyone has struggles. Everyone. Nobody gets away unscathed. And I hope that we teach our children to have resilience. I hope that parents teach them to be accountable. You know, my daughter's a teacher, and so many times parents will have come in through the years. She's done various grades. You know, 7th and 8th was probably, I think, the most difficult. She's not, she's high school now, but, I found it amazing how many times a parent would say, show me the video and prove it. I gotta be honest with you. If I went home and I got reprimanded by a teacher, my father wouldn't care if that teacher was right or wrong. They were right and I was wrong, because there was a level of respect that was necessitated. So where is the respect now? Why are people setting up accounts that are forgeries that aren't their own? Why are people hoping to get money through clicks that are things that are untrue? Okay, that's life. But we don't have to succumb to all of that. And in the self-mastery journey, you don't even pay attention to that because you recognize that it's baloney and you just move on. You let things go that aren't your own. But do be aware. Here's another thing. How do you deal with loss? People are dying in war and starvation and all of these kinds of things. And so it always comes back to, remember, heaven is not a place, it's a vibration. People who have gone, don't miss a trick, they can be with us. And everything that happens, a soul agrees to for some greater purpose, a purpose which we may not understand because we're human. So going back to the co-created plan, trust your plan, trust that you knew what you were doing when you set it up. Oh, Marianne, I would never pick these parents. Oh, Marianne, I would never pick that spouse. Oh, Marianne, there's no way I would put this in my path. Well, yes, yes, and yes. You did, you did, you did. Why? Remember, the diamond, the more it gets scratched up, the more it shines, right? So it's through adversity that we figure out who we are, that we overcome, that we have pride in ourselves, that we love ourselves, that we look in the mirror and we say, hey, you know what? With all your flaws, you're doing okay. You're giving it everything you got, and your best is good enough. There are so many times, I said this to my 4-year-old grandson the other day, you do your best, and your best is always good enough. And how about the perfectionist out there? Oh, it is so stressful to be a perfectionist. Well, along the self-mastery journey, sometimes you even soften the perfectionism in you because you accept that, it doesn't always have to be black and white. Gray feels okay sometimes. So I wish for you that you continue on your journey, that you find love from every nook and cranny, that for every bit of adversity that comes into your life that may be wrapped in the biggest poop container, that you know that within there lies opportunity to figure out, who am I? Why do I think the way I think? How do I solve problems? Be proud. Look in the mirror and love who you are, because when you love you, you can love other people. And if you want more love in your life, then give it away. Go figure out a way to spread your love. Volunteer. Join groups. Go to church. Go to anything. Go to a gym. Do whatever it is. But give that love and it will come back. Because remember, it is in giving that we receive. It is in loving that we are loved. May you be the light that just washes away the darkness. Because everything you need is within you. So when life is tough, just remember you're tougher. All right, so friends, help me. Help me, help me, help me make the world a better place, one person from the inside out. Spread your love and light everywhere you go, and allow every cell in your body to vibrate to the perfection of oneness. Think about these things, okay? And thank you so much for your support.
Na 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 na.